What's up everybody, Trinity here, and welcome back to the Second Street Marvel. In today's comic book review, once again, I am going to be reviewing two issues. That's right guys, you're getting some double features here lately. What I'm going to be talking about today is Amazing Spider-Man issue number 34, as well as 2099 Alpha. Now this is the reason I'm doing these together is because they really just all kind of tie in. Now what happened recently, not too long ago, in issue 25 of the Amazing Spider-Man, being written by Nick Spencer, he kind of set up a couple of different storylines here, and over those next handful of issues until we got to issue 32, there was just the climax of a story that ended up spinning out the Amazing Mary Jane series that's going on right now, in which Mary Jane has pretty much gone to Hollywood for to do some acting. And then it also set up a story where Amazing Spider-Man started tying into the Absolute Carnage event that is being going on right now with like Donny Cates, over there doing his little thing with the Absolute Carnage storyline. I've reviewed a couple of those individual like one-shots that tie into that series here on the channel as well. But here in issue number 32, 33, and now 34, we started getting some setup into this 2099 storyline, and that's why I kind of wanted to talk about both of these today. Now, Amazing Spider-Man, like I said, the last three, basically this being the third of the past three Amazing Spider-Man issues, have kind of been setting up this story about Peter Parker going back to Empire State University, trying to gain back his notoriety, and just all of those kinds of things, get back some credibility after he was found guilty of plagiarism, which happened at the very beginning of this Amazing Spider-Man run being written by Nick Spencer. And altogether, over these past few issues, what we found is that while Peter is going to school, there's somebody there. He's working on a class project with some other students, and they don't want to, just given his reputation and everything, they kind of gave him a warning, like, hey man, no cheating, and just these different kinds of things, because he had been found guilty of the plagiarism, and they don't want to be involved in all of that. And he basically reassures him that's not going to happen. Well, one of the people that he is going to school with, one of the students there, is actually an inventor of his own, and he actually took one of the old Parker Industries, I can't remember what they called it, the little communicators that they had, but he actually took it and kind of retrofitted it, just like did some upgrades and things on it to be able to predict the future. And through this, with some help from Peter Parker, he ended up coming up with this new invention that kind of called the Clairvoyant, which basically tells things that are going to happen in the future. It makes predictions based off of just algorithms and stuff like that, probably much like the YouTube algorithm, here on the algorithm here on YouTube. So speaking of which, you should make sure you give this video a thumbs up or give it a thumbs down. It's all good, but it helps out the algorithm, and this is no different. Like the Clairvoyant, it kind of takes all these different things just takes them into account when making these predictions. And so far we can see that it's somewhat accurate, with a small frame within a small window, and he actually looks to Peter Parker for some help to develop some of those things. But that in itself seems to have caused a problem, just like with time and everything, and that's where it's really kind of started tying into the 2099. We did in issue 25 get just a little brief tease of Miguel O'Hara coming back into our current timeline from 2099, and in these past few issues we've gotten a lot more of that, and that's pretty much where issue number 34 here picks up, as Miguel O'Hara is talking about basically what happened to him leading up to this event, right over here, where he's talking about some of these different things that had happened throughout time, and just kind of all these incidences that had kind of led to Doctor Doom taking over and just becoming like a dominating force here in 2099. And it all has to do with this piece of technology, this clairvoyant, what this guy's calling clairvoyant, trying to get Peter Parker's help with here throughout this book, in help in determining what the future is going to be. And we see that there's a scene that goes on here. A lot of stuff's been going down with like oh man, there was like the Chameleon, Silver Sable was involved, and God, what was the other guy's name? The I can't remember. The other guy that I can't remember right now. It's pretty irrelevant for the most part because he's pretty much out of the picture right now. But what we see is some of this had actually all taken place. There was a certain run of events that were going to happen, and that's what we get in this book, where we see that there is somebody gets assassinated here, but we come to find out that it is just an assassination attempt, and nothing ever actually happened. And which is something interesting, because what it leads to is this just kind of this overall war. It triggers, it starts basically a war here that is going to be pursued by Doctor Doom himself, coming in to just because right, well, just like something that happens right here in the book is Doom demands justice. He is demanding justice for this attempt on his life. And that's pretty much what we get here in Amazing Spider-Man issue number 34. Is a lot of, just like we have over the past couple issues, is a lot of setup going into 2099 Alpha. Altogether, guys, like the Amazing Spider-Man run that Nick Spencer has been doing, I haven't done a whole lot of reviews of them here on the channel, but I've liked what's been going on here. Now, the one thing is they've been using the Amazing Spider-Man to kind of tie in all these different little events. They did the Hunted not too long ago, and now it's kind of spilled over into Absolute Carnage, and now it is spilling over into this 2099 event. And, like, I don't really mind that, because, Nick Spencer has been doing a pretty good job keeping it all reeled in and keeping it kind of nice and tidy. But I just feel like there's just too much going on here with just like one series, like the Amazing Spider-Man series. It just feels like there's just a whole lot of things going on, and it's kind of going here and going there. And while that's not inherently a bad thing, I mean, I think overall it's been done and handled pretty well. I'm just not sure how much I really enjoy all of this going down throughout all of these series. Just throughout this one series, just so many tie-in things to it. And altogether, like I said, it's not a bad thing. Nick Spencer's done a pretty good job in tying all of these things in. And now I did forget to mention, okay, before I get into 2099 Alpha, I do want to mention that The Amazing Spider-Man, this book is actually being written by Nick Spencer. The artist was Patrick Gleason, Matthew Wilson, D. Cuniff, and Chris O'Halloran were the colorists, and VC's Joe Caramunga was the letterer on The Amazing Spider-Man issue number 34. And okay, so now that I got that out of the way, I'm sorry, I usually say that at the beginning. Now, 2099 Alpha, this is the kickoff of a little, just a small story arc that is going to be going on in tying in with the Amazing Spider-Man. There's a few Amazing Spider-Man issues that are going to be tying into this, as well as what they tell us here in the back. We get these other series that are kicking off out of it. We're getting Fantastic Four 2099, Conan 2099, The Punisher 2099, Ghost Rider 2099, Venom 2099, and Doom 2099. Before we end up getting, and Spider-Man 2099 as well, along with 2099 Omega, and then it's all going to wrap up in Amazing Spider-Man issue number 36. So there's still 2 more books of Amazing Spider-Man to tie in to this series altogether. Now, basically what this one is done, story right here is telling us, and this one, 2099 here, is being written by Nick Spencer. Victor Bogdanovic is the artist. Marte Gracia is the colorist, and VC's Joe Caramunga is the letterer, with Patrick Gleason and Guru EFX doing the cover. And I'm going to go ahead and show you those names right here, here on the title page. You got to love those 2-page spreads for a book, guys. You just got to love them. I'm not just picking on you, X-Men. It's going on here too. It's a bit ridiculous. Come on, guys. It's just a little bit unnecessary, and then take a look at that cover. The cover here is actually pretty nice. I really like this cover that they did here, and there are a bunch of variant covers of this, obviously. And pretty much what we get through this first issue is the setup of basically the event and what's going to be going on. So I wouldn't say that you necessarily have to read everything that's been going on with the Amazing Spider-Man to get into this series. I think you can just jump right into this little event just through this book, though I would advise maybe at least reading 32, 33, and 34 of Amazing Spider-Man. But pretty much what we get here is we're getting some of the setup and introduction of some of the characters here right at the beginning. It seems like we're getting this kind of, this insight into Conan 2099 is going to be happening here as we flash to Brooklyn in 2099. And before that, we actually open up on the Ravage. So we kind of get these introductions to these characters in 2099 and exactly the events of what's going on during this time. Then we also obviously hop to Nueva York. Like I said, this is really just a lot of setup for this whole event, introducing Miguel O'Hara, the Ghost Rider, and just the different characters here. But we also see just kind of the events that are leading up to this. I mean, because basically this all kicked off from this little act of war that started in the Amazing Spider-Man that Doctor Doom ends up lashing back out. And what we see here, and I don't want to ruin too much, what we see here is one of the things is that Doctor Doom actually has Uatu, the Watcher, there being held captive, and because he needs him to be able to help, like just some of his stories and things like that. And he's trying to extract information from him. And he's really setting up and talking to Uatu through a whole lot of this story here as they're setting up, introducing all of our characters. Like here we even get introduced to our Ghost Rider character here as well. And just all the different little characters, just kind of a bunch of little side stories just going on in this book. And we can even see, where they're tying in the Fantastic Four. They're doing that by means of this little robot. And I'm not big on Fantastic Four, so some of that is kind of lost on me, as is some of this, because it's a new event, it's just all starting off. But we can start to see, like I said, we're just getting introductions of all these characters, setting up the story, something that was really being start to set up and really popped off in Amazing Spider-Man issue number 34. Now, if you're going to get into this 2099, I would probably say read Amazing Spider-Man 34 at least before you get into this one. And I'm not saying it's required, but I would suggest it. Just so you get a little bit of what's going on here. And then here at the end of this particular book, it tells us, gives us a brief breakdown of what series are going to be out there and who's doing them. And one of these series I'm actually kind of looking forward to here was Fantastic Four 2099. And all these are going to be just one-shots tying into here. So that I don't really mind. I think there's like 8 different titles spinning out into this, tying into this Amazing Spider-Man story arc with the 2099 kind of mini event going on here. But Fantastic Four 2099 is actually being written by Lonnie Nadler, Zach Thompson, and Matt Horak and Rochelle Rosenberg are doing the colors for that. I guess they're doing the Punisher. They're doing the Punisher. Is which one they're doing, and I'm kind of looking forward to that because Lonnie Nadler actually just wrote a book recently that I reviewed here on the channel called Black Stars Above that I thought was a really good book. And so I'm looking forward to seeing the writing that's going to happen in that book. But altogether, guys, this 2099 event seems like it'll be something pretty interesting. You're getting some Amazing Spider-Man mixed in with Spider-Man 2099 and just some of the 2099 characters coming back and just kind of playing a bigger role in here. But also the story with Doctor Doom that's going on here seems like it's going to be one that's pretty interesting. Now, the one thing I will say about all of these is, what I don't like about this is the fact that you're spilling something into Amazing Spider-Man, which has really largely been connecting to a lot of the continuity going on in the Marvel Universe right now. And this event don't feel like it's going to be something that's going to affect the overall timeline of what's going on in the current Marvel continuity. So I don't know. I don't really know how to feel about that. All I know is I like Nick Spencer's writing. He's a pretty good writer. I think, there's really only one series that he's done that I just didn't not like, but just didn't like as much as some of his other work. But I've really liked what he's done with Amazing Spider-Man, and what we get here, this setup in 2099, I thought was really good as well. And again, you guys seen some of that art there, and I don't think they're keeping all the same artists and everything for each one of these books, because they do all have a bunch of different writers and a bunch of different artists coming in to do this. So they're making it kind of a group collective thing, and I could be mistaken, but I believe Nick Spencer is pretty much kind of overseeing all of this whole little event, kind of like Donny Cates is kind of like overseeing everything going on with the Absolute Carnage event. And I think that's something good, something that Marvel needs to continue with when they do something like that, is let one person kind of really do all this, like kind of keep it all reeled in and keep it nice and neat and tidy, because they haven't really been the best at that with some of their events that have been going on. But Jonathan Hickman is actually proving to be doing a really great job with what they're doing with the X-Men after kind of their soft reboot that Jonathan Hickman did in the Marvel universe. Altogether, guys, I've been reading, like I said, I've been reading Amazing Spider-Man this whole series. I've got every single issue. I've really liked what Nick Spencer is doing there. And this $20.99 event, while it does seem a little, I don't know, it seems a little over the top for everything that's been going on. I'm looking forward to probably checking out all these other $20.99s and their tie-ins and bringing you guys some reviews on those. But let me know down in the comments below, did you guys read Amazing Spider-Man 34 and the kickoff of 2099 Alpha? If so, let's talk about it down in the comments below. Let's get some theories, let's do some talking, let's just talk about some comic books down there in the comments below. That's all I have for this video today, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning into the Second Street Marvel. If you haven't already, please make sure you're subscribed, click the little bell and all of that good stuff. You know, it helps keep Hydra from burying me in that YouTube algorithm, and your help is much appreciated in that battle. And if you'd like, give this video a thumbs up, feel free to give it a thumbs down. The engagement is all good to me. I don't take any of it personally, but most of all, while you're at it, make sure you share it with a friend and invite them to come hang out with us here on the Second Street Marvel. You all have a very good day. Happy reading. Get out and support your local comic book shop, and we'll see you in the next video. Later.